Hi everyone and welcome to the Empowered You podcast. I'm Chavi Israel, your host, speaking to you from Sydney, Australia. After October 7, I found myself in uncomfortable situations, not sure how to respond or navigate. That's why I created the Empowered You, first an organization and now a podcast to equip you with the knowledge, skills, and tools surrounding Israel and your Jewish identity. In each episode, we'll explore various topics from multiple perspectives so that you can feel informed, empowered, and proud of who you are. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Hello, Chanala Chaiton.
Hi, Chavs.
I'm so happy that I get to interview a good friend of mine, and this is actually my first friend, so this is going to be really exciting.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored.
Before we discuss your journey of making Aliyah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where were you born, raised, about your family background?
Sure. So I'm born and raised in Sydney, in Bondi, and my grandparents from my father's side came after the Holocaust. They survived the Holocaust, and they came with literally like the shirts on their back. Had my father and my aunt and raised them here in Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother's family is Australian, a couple generations back. Grew up in Bondi in the Chabad community. And I'm one of 8, 4 girls and 4 boys. I'm number 4, so almost smack in the middle.
You're actually the middle child.
Well, I was until the last one was born.
Okay.
And I am married to Eli Chaiton. We have 4 kids, thank God. And I am a breast imaging radiographer and PT and Pilates instructor.
Cool. You grew up in Sydney. You're a Sydney girl. Your parents are also Aussie, more or less. So then your first time going overseas was when?
I went overseas when I was 19. It was my first time going overseas for seminary, and it was to Israel. So landed in Israel, and I just fell in love straight away. I always was so excited to go to Israel. I grew up in a home where the foundation was just the love for Eretz Yisrael, and my father was a B'nai Akiva Madrich.
So he was very Zionistic.
Yes.
So you always had that love for Israel ingrained
100%.
within you.
And in school as well, from a young age. So as soon as I landed in Israel, I just felt at home. There's no other way to describe it.
And during your seminary year when you were in Israel, did you ever think that you would actually live in Israel?
Yes. And I remember exactly where I was when I wanted that.
Tell us.
Yeah. So it was Yom Yerushalayim, and we had come to Yerushalayim to celebrate. And we were in the center, and there was just flags and people, and it was literally the streets were jumping with joy. And I just looked over and saw these teenagers so passionate and so happy and so full of life and love for the land. And I just said to myself, I want to raise kids here. And I still have goosebumps thinking back to that moment when I just knew that that's where I wanted to live. And it's taken 19 years since then.
Wow.
And I'm very proud to say that I'm finally going home.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
I know.
And I can see that you're like getting emotional just talking about it.
I am.
That must have been such a pivotal moment where you were like, this is what I want.
Yeah. And in May, when we went to Israel on our pilot trip, and I'll talk about this more soon, Golan Vach, who is like the leader of our group, he asked us to all share like a meaningful story. It didn't have to do with Aliyah, but just something that is a very much part of your life. And I shared this story because I just felt like it was kind of the start of our journey now.
Before we get to the whole journey, which I want to hear all about, you married Eli, like you said, you have 4 children, Knei Nahara, and you guys have been living in Sydney this whole time.
Mhm.
So when you were dating Ellie, were you like, did you bring up Israel? Like, so how, if this was something that like you wanted, then how did you end up, like, why were you raising your family in Sydney? Not to say that
Yeah.
you're a Sydney girl, obviously, and your family's here, but was there anything specific that you guys decided that you wanted to just stay in Sydney for the time being? What was the thought process?
Okay, that's a great question. So, first of all, when Ellie and I dated, I remember even from like our first date, like within the first little while of it, we both spoke about how we definitely wanted to live in Israel. We like joked about living like, you know, in like real hippie area like Shiloh.
Oh, wow.
We're not going there. But yeah, it was definitely something that we both were passionate about. And then we lived in Israel when we were first married for our first year, which was really, really special.
Wow.
That we were able to do that. And we, after we lived there for the first year, it was like, we'll come back, we'll make money first, then you start think, oh, we'll have to, make a lot of money first. And then we had Mia, and it was like, oh, we'll wait till the kids are a bit bigger. And you just basically get comfortable in your life.
Yes.
And 1 year goes to a few years. And there's been times along the way where like, it was like right before COVID. And we just were like, we started to think, oh, maybe we should just do it now. And then COVID hit. And then we moved out of our apartment. And then finally, it was right before, probably about half a year before Mia's bat mitzvah. And we decided we're going to do Mia's bat mitzvah in Israel. So it was exactly 2 years ago. And we decided when we were there, we were going to like check out a few places. But we didn't really like put specific plans into action.
Yeah.
When we came back from Mia's bat mitzvah 2 years ago, we opened up our Aliyah file. And then things like not fizzled out, but it was just like we were looking into a few different places and nothing was like concrete. And then last year, Israela came up, this program that we're going on, the group Aliyah, and that basically solidified where we were going and the timeline, and now it's happening.
And like made it a real actual thing.
Yeah.
I remember we went for a walk on Bondi Beach.
Yeah.
Before you went to Israel for Mia's bat mitzvah trip. Do you remember that?
2 years ago, yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Or maybe was it right after you had just gotten back, actually? But basically, I remember that trip. And then I remember people like saying, yeah, Chanala is making Aliyah, maybe. And I'm like, what? Like there was like little birdies talking.
Yeah.
So I guess that trip was actually a trip where you were like semi-checking things out-ish, but without a concrete plan in place. Just so the push factor that made you guys decide, okay, we're going to be making Aliyah proper, was it the fact that Israela, this organization that I want to hear all about, came up and then helped you navigate this process? Or was there something else?
I mean, we were like, now's the time. We just wanted to do it.
Is this post October 7?
No. Well, 2 years ago when we went for Mia's bat mitzvah was before October 7.
No, the Israela, when the Israela came
that was
to you.
post October 7. But I wouldn't say that October 7 was like a catalyst. It wasn't like, okay, we have to do it now. It's more the fact that like my kids aren't getting younger. And Mia's already 14 and we just don't want to make it harder for her. So we'd like, if not now, when?
So going to this organization, Israela, who are they? How do they find you? How does it work? I want to hear all about that.
Okay, so I called a friend who made Aliyah from Perth a year ago. And when I called her, she had been there probably for like 6 months. And I wasn't going to go to where she is. She's in Bet El. But I just wanted to know, like, she has similar age kids as mine. And I just wanted to ask her a few questions. And I was feeling quite overwhelmed about where we were going to go. Zichron Yaakov was on our list. And so was Pardes Chana. And so was Karmegat. Those were like the kind of options.
How did you even like think of options by yourself?
I know, it was so I was on like a Facebook group.
Okay.
And I was just looking at like where other people had chosen. I kind of wanted to be not so far from the beach. That was also a priority.
Being a Sydney girl.
Yeah, I also want, like, schools was important to us. So I spoke to another Sydney girl who lives in Zichron. So it's kind of just like getting information. It's not easy to find. It's very overwhelming, basically. So I called this girl from Perth, and she said to me that a couple of her friends are joining this Israela program. Have I heard of it? And I was like, no, what is it? And she explained it to me, and literally it sounded fake. Like someone puts people together, they take you on a pilot trip, they show you a few different places that you're going to live, and they help you out, help your kids, they help you and your kids find schools, they help you find a shul, they connect you with people in the community. Like, who are these people? Like,
yeah, they sound like angels.
And how much is it going to cost me? And first of all, it costs nothing. And second of all, they are angels. They want their brothers and sisters to have a successful Aliyah. They don't want you to come and struggle. They don't want you to come and want to leave. They want you to come and thrive and have an amazing life and love it and never turn back.
And is this organization, I know that in the States they have Nefesh B'Nefesh, and then officially, I think for Australia and South Africa, they have something called Telfid or something.
Yeah.
So was Israela connected to Telfid, or is it completely separate?
So it is its own private organization, but it does work alongside like the Jewish agency.
Okay. And Telfid's considered the Jewish agency?
No, Telfid is its own Jewish agency.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Is like the top of the umbrella, and then under that comes Nefesh B'Nefesh and Telfid.
Ah, okay. So they all work together, but Israela, from my understanding, is like the actual organization that is literally holding your hand and helping you navigate this process.
Exactly.
While Telfid is a bit more abstract, like, I don't know, maybe they'll help you with the legalities. I don't know. Like, have you even had any connection with Telfid?
No, I haven't had any connection with Telfid. I feel like they maybe help you more when you're there, maybe find a job.
Okay.
I haven't had any help from Telfid. Whereas Israela helped us find school. They helped us find a place to live. They're going to basically help us with our apartment, like fill up the place we're going to live with furniture if we need.
Wow.
Like we haven't got there yet, but that's basically what they help.
They actually help you from before you make Aliyah until even when you're there.
And then they want you to stay connected with the group the whole time. So they're like, we weren't there yet, but over Sukkot, they had like a family Cholamoid outing.
Cute.
They all went on a hike and a picnic together.
So they keep that kind of that community feel, because I feel like in Israel, ironically enough, you can feel like you don't belong to a community.
That's right.
Because everybody is more or less Jewish, and you can get lost very easily in Israel.
Yeah, so they don't want you to feel lost. I mean, they made fun because Golan, who you'll meet soon, he loves to do circle time. So he did circle time every morning when we were on this pilot trip together. And one morning we had come back from our like Tiul to Petach Tikva, and he was asking everyone, what did you think, etc., of the city, because that was one of the options. And so I said, we didn't really get a feel for the place. Like no one showed us where the post office is, for example. So the rest of the trip, everyone was making fun, Chana and the post office, but really, this is what you need day to day. You need to know where is the post office. So every single time after that, we saw a post office, they were like, Chana, there's the post office. I'm like, you guys are making fun now. You're going to need to know where the post office is for your
Amazon
packages. Order.
Yeah, totally. Golan, he is in charge of Israela.
Yeah.
Is he in charge of all the groups in Israela, or specifically your group? Because I'm assuming that Israela, they're not just taking care of you guys and your crew, they're taking care of a million other people that are in a similar situation as you.
So Golan is in charge of the entire Israela organization.
Is it Israela or Yisraela?
I think it's
Depends.
Israela.
Okay.
His father has been in the Aliyah space for over 30 years and has helped hundreds and hundreds of Olim, mostly from South America and France. So Golan has facilitated a few Israela groups from South America, and this is the first Anglo group. And I think that he has noticed the difference. Yeah, it's different culture. The Anglos from the South Americans.
Did he say that the Anglos were better or worse?
I don't think he actually said, but I told him that the Anglos are more tricky. South Americans, I feel like they're just more Naseh v'nishma. You know, Anglos are a little bit more
high maintenance, maybe?
Yes.
Did he?
He chuckled. This is his first Anglo
The
group.
one that you went on that pilot trip with.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, you said that they went on a Chalamoid Sukkah trip.
Yes.
So are you telling me that some of them have already actually made Aliyah?
Yes. So because some of them are from Northern Hemisphere, they went for the start of the school year, September. And the Australians who are on this group, we all decided we wanted our kids to finish the school year,
Fair
December.
enough.
And so we are leaving December 30.
Soon.
Very
I
soon.
actually can't believe that we're already in the end of November. I'm like, where did this year even go?
We're going to get there towards the end of Hanukkah.
Okay.
And the kids will basically start school almost straight away. Probably give them a week.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I need to hear. People say that making Aliyah is a huge deal, that it is super challenging. I remember when my boss was making Aliyah, she lives in Israel now, and she didn't have an amazing program like Israela. And she said dealing with the bureaucracy, it drove her mad, and lucky it was just her and her husband. Her children had already all made Aliyah by themselves, but it seemed like a pretty hellish process. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
So what challenges have there been? Okay, I want to hear all the challenges.
Okay, so yes, that is true. The paperwork feels like it's never going to end. The apostille, I didn't even know what that word was.
Yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay, so apostille is that you have to basically get pretty much every one of your documents certified, and then Australian government certified. It gets a ribbon attached and stamps, and that's an apostille. I didn't even know what it was. I thought it was not even an English word.
Oh my gosh.
And it costs a lot of money to get all those documents done. And just when you think you have all the documents, there are more. But so challenges, I would say, is...
that's why you guys had to go to Canberra to pick up the apostille documents?
Well, no, because we have minors, there was more documents that we had to do that the Shaliach in Sydney had forgotten to tell us about. So we either could get more documents apostilled or just take the whole family to Canberra and just get it done on the spot. So we decided to do that over Sukkot.
And you did that through the Australian embassy or the Israeli embassy?
Israeli. So we drove down. It was literally like being in Israel for a couple of hours, because you get to the front of the embassy and you have to press a buzzer, and they ask you so many questions before they even open the door for the security to ask you more questions.
And meanwhile, you're with the whole family.
The whole family. And it was Sukkot, and we brought our lulav and esrog to try shake with the people, but he wouldn't let us bring it in.
Why? For security purposes? Classic.
Then we get in, and basically he says, "Welcome to Israel," because that's basically Israel.
In the Israeli embassy, it's considered Israel. You know, I always found that so fascinating how embassies work. I watched Homeland. I don't know if you've ever watched Homeland, and how the terrorists take over the U.S. embassies somewhere. I can't remember where. But it's crazy. The embassy is like a little, it's like also when you get on it, on El Al, right?
Yes.
Even if even if you're not in Israel, you're already
totally
in Israel.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So were you guys getting excited being in the embassy?
It was exciting. And then we just had to sit and wait.
For a very long time?
Very secure. We had to lock everything up in lockers. except for like our phones. We could take our phones in, and just in a room and just waited for like 45 minutes. They stamped everything, gave it all back to us, and now we have our visas.
Okay, 45 minutes only? I thought it would be like, knowing Israel style, they'd be like,
Yeah.
sorry, come back tomorrow. You know,
Thank God we got there when we did, because they shut for the day at like 1 o'clock.
What the heck? Why would they shut at 1 o'clock?
That's it. They just
That's very Israeli
very.
style to decide when. Sometimes I feel like the banks also shut at like 1 o'clock in
have
Israel.
like a siesta or something.
Yeah, it was. So thank God you got there when you got there.
We got it done. And what else can I think of as a challenge?
Just before you continue with the challenges, you mentioned about a shaliach. So is this shaliach? I'm assuming it's an Aliyah shaliach.
Yeah.
Is that connected to Israela, or it's not connected to Israela?
It's not. He is, so the Jewish agency, which is the Aliyah,
the top,
of the umbrella, they send to different parts of the world a shaliach, like a messenger, literally, to help those who need to organize their Aliyah. So I think there's one in Sydney and one in Melbourne. That's in Australia. As well as this, the one in Sydney does this and is also the shaliach for Habo, because it wouldn't be a full-time job just doing the Aliyah agency. So he basically is there for like any questions that you have. So when we first opened the Aliyah file, like I called him up and I asked about like police clearances, because I also had to get for Mia because she's over 14. Oh. So he answers all those questions. And then like Eli is South African, so we had to like find out about this was more challenges. The South African, trying to get anything verified in South Africa is a mission. So the Israeli government actually gave an exemption that we didn't have to get his birth certificate or police clearances apostilled. We could just send it in as it is, because they know that the South African government is ridiculous, especially with anything to do with Israel.
Well, especially now also. It makes me very happy that the Israeli government used their seichel, because like I was saying, my boss who made Aliyah, now it's coming back to me. It must have been this issue because her and her husband are South African, and they must have had to get their documents apostilled. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. And she would like come to work, like sometimes she would like almost in tears because it was a back and forth process. Like, I'm glad that Israel finally used their brains, and they're like, okay, we get that South Africa is difficult to deal with, and we'll let that go.
I know. Yeah, it's hard enough having to do it, and then on top of everything, you just feel like sometimes there's like what is it called? Like a blockage. Boom gate. Yeah, like a blockage.
Everything's against you.
Yeah.
It's like, let's make this process
as difficult as possible.
Literally.
But it's I guess it's kind of preparing you for the life there.
Yeah, I guess. Because the life there is not just eating ice cream and going to Katsefet.
Listen, someone said to me, how are you feeling about moving to Israel? It's so hard. Like, it's such a hard life moving there.
Yeah.
And I basically said to them, no one moves to Israel for an easy life.
No.
You move there for a meaningful life, for a full life, for a rich life. You're not going for an easy life.
And how do they respond?
And then they basically, just nod their head and like, yeah, it's true. I think it's just about your mind frame. And I asked someone last week, I was chatting with someone who lives in Israel but is here now for a couple of years. And I said to him, what's some advice that you would give me on like the little steps into Israel? And he said, have zero expectations, and anything that happens, you'll be pleasantly surprised. And he also said, make sure you are an advocate for yourself and your children and your husband. Try to be a bit Israeli and speak up.
That's a good, helpful tip.
Yeah.
But, that's actually really a good tip for life.
Yeah, for everything.
Have zero expectations.
Yeah.
And then you'll be pleasantly surprised and you'll always be happy.
Yeah, it's true.
Are you feeling anxious or nervous at all, especially now that you're getting so close to the time of actually making Aliyah?
Not anxious or nervous at all, just emotional, like really, really excited, and also really sad to leave our friends and family here. It was even like emotional today at Shabbat lunch, but really excited also.
And how are your kids feeling, or do some of them not even realize like what's actually happening?
I don't think any of us actually realize. I think that being naive really helps.
Totally.
Like, I feel like if we thought too much about it, or we analyzed every little tiny thing, then we would never do it. So I think that being naive and just, it's going to happen.
It's so true. I think that in life, like if people knew what starting a business entailed,
Yeah.
or getting married entailed, or having children entailed, we wouldn't be doing any
That's
of those
right.
things.
Yeah.
So these are just one of those things that you are having, that bitachon,
Yeah.
that blind faith in a way, and that trust. And this is obviously what your neshama needs and wants. Honestly, I'm jealous of you. I really am. I feel like a Jew belongs in Israel, especially in this post-October 7 world.
Yeah. I feel like
But
we're all going to land up there.
we
It's
will.
just a matter of time.
100%.
Yeah. What's that saying that the Mitzvah Rebbe said about jumping over?
Arriba. Yes.
So I think
just
that,
go for it.
yeah, I think that in this instance, that's very applicable. And yeah, you can't analyze even now, like as we're getting closer, I thought that, even like 3 months ago, I was like, okay, I'm setting up for everything to be organized for when we get there. And then as we're getting a bit closer, I'm pivoting in my mind and in actuality that not everything is going to be like just like from a move to Bonnecourt Avenue to King Street. It's not just like you can pack up and drive around the corner and set everything up in a night. It's not going to be like that. So if we're on blow-up mattresses for a couple nights, and if, we have, thank God we can have takeout for a week, probably a different place every single day, that's also fine. Like, I went from everything has to be perfect in my mind to now it's okay. Like, and I'm faking it till I make it, because I don't actually feel like I want to feel like that. But talking to myself about being more flexible is the mantra at the moment.
Such a good mantra to have. I need your mantra.
I'm trying to need it myself.
Well, I'm feeling it. I'm like, yeah, I need to just chill also.
Yeah.
I'm like,
we
let
can't,
go and let
yeah,
God.
that's right. We can't control we can't control everything, let alone anything.
I love that. We can't control everything, let alone anything. Did you just make that up?
I think so.
That's a really good quote. Chanala Chaiton. That's a good one. I'm going to write that down and use it another time. Have that one up my sleeve. You guys are going to Karmei Gat.
We are. We're going to
How
Karmei Gat.
did you even decide on Karmei Gat?
Okay, so I think I mentioned before that it was one of our options.
Okay.
And I had heard about it from the Facebook group. It's an up and coming small city. It's next to Kiryat Gat. It is on the way to Ashdod and Ashkelon. So it's more like central. It's about an hour from Jerusalem, probably 45 minutes or an hour from Tel Aviv.
Oh, so it's a great location.
Yeah, it's very, very central. And then when Israela came up and they were telling us the couple of options, first it was going to be to go see 3 different cities. It was going to be Petach Tikva, Karmei Gat, and Afula. And right before our pilot trip, they sent out a message to everyone to say, please give us a percentage of these 3 places in order of like where you see yourself choosing. So Ellie and I discussed it, and he wrote Karmei Gat 80%, Petach Tikva 20%, Afula I think like 5% or something, or like none. And then Ilan, who's like kind of like the head to Golan, the second to Golan, he wrote, "Oh, interesting. Can you explain?" So Eli said, "So Karmei, like it was on our list anyways.
Anyways, you already were like thinking about
exactly. Petach Tikva, like if the rest of the group wants, sure, but it was also just like not really in our radar, and we didn't really know much about it. So let's just wait to see." And then Afula, Eli was like, "Yeah, nah."
Where even is Afula?
North.
Yes.
Eli said he when he thinks of Afula, he thinks like a lot of Arabs, and it just didn't appeal to him.
Yes.
Apparently, it is really, really nice there. Like, so I think since maybe Eli was like thinking more like from his like yeshiva days. But anyways, they took Afula off. Nothing got to do with our choices, just because as the time came closer, it got a bit more noisy / dangerous
from
in the north.
Hezbollah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
exactly. So all the north options were off.
Got it.
Then we all went to see Petach Tikva, and as a group, and also me personally, we didn't love. There was lots of high-rise buildings. They didn't show us any houses, and as I said before, the Anglos, we want a little bit more space. We didn't love that we were like kind of going to be coming into a very solid, well-established community. We kind of felt like we wanted to be more pioneers, help build up a community. Like we were coming into Israel. We don't just want to like add ourselves into like another community. We want to help grow something. And when we went to Karmei Gat, we felt like we would be helping to grow, because the shul is still like in a caravan. They're still raising money for the shul.
How come Karmei Gat, if it's such a good and central location, why has it not been developed yet?
So it's next to a city called Kiryat Gat, and that basically, I guess, became full. And then there's just empty land next to it. So the government decided we're going to make another suburb next to it to create more space and opportunities for younger families to start up.
And also younger families that maybe could afford. Is it a bit cheaper than Kiryat Gat?
I don't know about cheaper than Kiryat Gat, but like, for example, it's a lot cheaper than Modi'in. And then it just gives younger families the opportunity to start somewhere fresh. It's about, I think, 8 years old. So it's quite new. And we went and saw the primary school, the high schools. We had like, it was Erev Lag BaOmer. So they had like a bonfire for the kids on the Thursday night, like in this just huge open field. We were all just laughing, like, welcome to Israel. Like the 4-year-olds are literally like making the bonfire.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it was very welcoming. That night, lots of people from the community came to the shul, and that we all just sat, and they spoke to us, answered any questions we had about the community, made us feel like welcome.
Are they very Israeli, the Israelis that are already living there?
So I feel like even the Israelis who are living there, I feel like a lot of them have some sort of Anglo connection, but it's quite a mix. There's quite a few Anglos, but there's also quite a lot of Israelis. The principal of the primary school probably speaks about 10 words of English.
Okay.
Which is awesome. I love her already. I don't even know her, and I love her. She's great.
Love it.
It was just a really nice, warm vibe. Like it felt like I could definitely see myself there.
It felt like home.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Is there enough space there for people to build homes? You know, we're talking about us Anglos, I guess, like to be comfortable.
Yeah, there's definitely.
So it's not like apartments.
There's both. There's apartments and there's houses. And even in Israel, I mean, the apartments are much bigger than here.
Yeah.
Like you can get a 5-bedroom apartment with a huge garden or a huge balcony, like the size of, 2 apartments together here.
Especially when we compare it to Bondi.
Yeah, exactly. So there's definitely space for a lot more people from Sydney. So yalla.
Yalla. And then they have schools already. Is it
Yeah,
is
so
it
I get
is it connected like the Kiryat Gat kids go to the
no.
schools, or it
Yeah,
was already created just for Karmei Gat children? Because that's pretty
it
amazing for
is.
being, only 8 years old and already to have a high school and a primary school.
Yeah, well, there's even more. Then there's two high schools. One is an Ulpana, which is just for girls. Then there's a yeshiva for the boys, and then there's a mixed high school as well.
Whoa!
There's just
So how many people then are living in this Karmei Gat? I feel like it's a
I
lot.
don't know exactly. I should have done a bit of research
No,
before.
I mean you'll find out soon
Yeah.
enough. But I'm just
We
so
should do a part 2
of
after I've
once you're there.
settled.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's such a good idea.
yeah.
It's brilliant because this is when you're being
Being like all
young and
idealistic.
idealistic, and then you're gonna be
Exactly.
like, oh my gosh, no, but please God, it will be amazing.
Yeah,
But I'm like surprised that a brand new place already has so many schools in place
I know. I
for the
guess that just
Karmei Gat.
shows you, like, the Israeli government is just it's incredible where there's just enough people for it to happen. Basically, like we can't conceptualize
No,
the
especially
idea
coming from Sydney.
exactly because there's not even enough Jewish kids to fill 2
Yeah,
schools here, but they're all going to the school there.
and are those schools considered public schools, meaning the government
Yeah,
pays?
they're all government.
By the way, talking about government, does the government give you benefits for
Yeah,
making Aliyah?
yeah.
What are those benefits?
Okay, so you basically get some financial support and you get an exemption from certain taxes. I think it's for big purchases like cars and homes for a certain number of years. You get an exemption. Some places you get you get help in rental, and you get ulpan
For free.
support, and the kids get some extra learning support in school, and also the kids get extra time depending on like how old they were. There's extra time in their bagrut, in their year 12 exams. Even if they make aliyah when they're like 4, they will still get some extra time in year 12.
What does that mean, extra time?
Like I don't know, to write their exams or something.
Okay. In that regard.
Yeah.
Do your children get free university degrees, or that only applies to you guys if you and Ellie wanted to do uni? Because I know that my friends who are like 18 years old, well, we're a bit older than that, but when they did make Aliyah after SEM, they got free university degrees.
I don't know. I had a feeling that all public universities in Israel was free.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
I don't know. I could be wrong.
I don't know. But that's kind of cool that the Jewish from school is public school.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to pay for the Jewish education that you have to pay in the diaspora.
I think we just finished paying our last school fees.
Mazel tov.
I know.
Oh my gosh. You forget that Israel is Eretz Yisrael. It's the Jewish homeland. Like
And
you don't.
The country is literally created for the children. It's all about the children.
In what way?
First of all, the extracurricular stuff after school is just endless. They're all going to go into because school finishes early.
What time is early?
1:30.
Even the high school?
High school, I think, is like 2. But then they all go from there. They take themselves to either tennis, soccer, English, or they'll do ulpan, art, dance, they call it a chug, any extracurricular that you can think of, they can go to.
For free?
No, you pay, but it's like you're not paying for school.
Okay, I get it.
So here you would pay for all that extra stuff on top of your school fees. And there,
you're just paying for that and not for the school fees. Why do the schools in Israel finish so early?
I have no idea. You can also pay for after school care, and your kids can stay for longer if you don't want. Yeah, and they probably just play and stuff. But like my friends who have already arrived, part of the Israela program, they said that all their kids are already involved in Bnei Akiva and Ezra. It's another form of Bnei Akiva, and they're just like out on Friday night till all hours, Shabbos afternoon, the kids are just up and down to the park back home, like just out.
They're just there's that
happy.
Freedom in a way.
Yeah, it's the parks that they create for the children. It's just like, here you literally have to drive to like the western suburbs to find an area that has a nice park.
Everything there is kind of, in a way, ironic. It's like on a golden platter.
Yeah.
In many ways. There are many ways where it's not on a golden platter.
Yeah.
Like having to go to the bank.
Yes.
And having to deal with all the red tape kind of stuff. But otherwise, it is like a golden haven, and especially being a Jew.
Yeah.
It's like a no-brainer in so many ways. I always think like back to my great-grandparents who left Europe. They all managed to seek refuge, and they were very lucky that they actually themselves didn't go through the Holocaust. They all had to end up in the States or whatever, Canada. They would have died to have Israel.
100%.
And like, you come from, your father's family were Holocaust survivors.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever feel like, wow, I'm doing this full circle where my grandparents would have done anything
100%.
to have the Jewish homeland, and now I get to live their dream for them in a way?
I feel so grateful, and I almost feel like it's like a tikkun.
Yeah.
Like a
repairing.
Yeah, like a full circle. And I know that they're proud, and I just feel really grateful. Another like tikkun, when we were in, and I think I've told you this before, we were on our pilot trip. It was after Shabbos, and Golan got out his guitar after Havdalah, and he, right before he started to sing this song, he told us that we've had the most amazing week together in Israel, and we just, in contrast to what the Meraglim did when they came out from their visit to Israel, and they went back to Bnei Israel and they spoke Lashon Hara about Eretz Israel. We have to be a tikkun for that and go back to our friends and family in Chutz La'aretz and speak Lashon Tov about Eretz Israel, and speak about the goodness about Eretz Israel, and speak about how we are making Aliyah and inspire others. And then he proceeded to sing Machshavot, and it was just a very inspiring moment that will stay with me forever. And I feel grateful that we're able to do this tikkun and just, like a full circle.
You really are.
Yeah.
You guys really, really are. That was really moving. Do you feel like you have any imparting advice that you want to give to anyone who's maybe considering to make Aliyah?
Firstly, I'm more than happy to, if you want to reach out to me to ask me any questions. I definitely think that doing group Aliyah, like we are doing with Israela, is extremely helpful. Knowing that we have support along the way, knowing that we have a community waiting for us, is just, I can't even describe. Like I wouldn't have even known where to start, basically. And it was very overwhelming. And I know that there'll still be overwhelming moments, but I just feel like someone's holding my hand. And that when it comes time to switch over my driver's license or get my Israeli passport, there'll be someone there holding my hand to do it.
And I guess also the fact that you'll be within a community with other like-minded people who are in the exact same boat as you.
Exactly. Well, that was the main reason of why we decided to do group Aliyah, because the kids and us will all have people who are going in the same journey that we are. We're all having the same issues together, and we're all having the same joyful moments together. Everything is happening together. And so I think that that's really important. So even when we had to decide together as a group of where we were all going to live. And Eli and I said, even if everybody chose Petach Tikva and we didn't really want to go to Petach Tikva, we would still go because the group trumps the place.
Does everyone else feel the same way like you guys?
On the first day, I spoke to quite a few people, and a few of them did agree. Some of them were just like, No, but I think towards the end of the group, they realized the power of the group. But we at the beginning knew that it was about the group more than the place, because it doesn't necessarily mean we're tied to Karma Gut for the rest of our lives. Like, nothing is forever. Things evolve, people change, but to know that in the first few years when we're transitioning and we're creating a new home and a new journey, a new life for our family, this is what's important. And so that came first. So
basically your main piece of advice would be do it through
with a group.
With a group.
Yep.
Shout out to
Israela.
Shout out to Golan.
And Ilan Goldman.
Khan, thank you for your time. I know that if anyone does have any questions, they definitely will reach out to you. I feel like, in all the podcasts they say, we'll leave all the details
in the notes.
in the notes, but whoever
in the show
is
notes.
interested, they can reach out to me, and I definitely have your number. I wish you, and I'm sure everybody listening wishes you and Ellie and the whole family so much hatzlacha. You really are living the dream. We're in Mashiach times, and this is definitely the right step forward. But please, God, it should just be smooth sailing, an easy transition for everyone, for you guys, for your children. And I'm very excited for part 2 to hear how that's all going. Please, God, very soon.
Amen.
And hopefully we'll be together reunited.
Amen.
With Mashiach. Thanks so much, Khan.